Big belly breath in, feeling it coming in through your nose, the back of your throat, your chest, your abdomen, and holding. And then releasing on a sigh. One more time, breathing in, holding, and releasing on a sigh. On your own, maybe count your inhales, count 10 inhales. And with every exhale that you do, just releasing more tension in your body. Maybe focusing on each body part, releasing that tension. Maybe starting with the crown of your head, your shoulders, your arms, your back. Counting 10 breaths. And as you're counting your 10 breaths, thinking about an intention that you'd like to make for this practice today. Thinking about the energy that you're creating in your space. And then coming back to your normal breaths. Hands overhead. And then let's twist to the right, bringing our right hand to the back, our left hand forward. Maybe our gaze follows our right hand. And then breathing in again, hands come up overhead, and then twist to the left. One more time, bringing your hands up overhead, and then twisting to the right. And then overhead again, and then twisting to the left. Bringing your hands overhead and giving yourself a little baby back bend here. So chest comes up and back. Breathing in and releasing your shoulders away from your ear. Bringing your hands down. We're going to bring our feet together. So the bottoms of our feet together in Baddha Konasana. We're going to walk our hands out to the front. Just a little bit because we're still warming up our backs, warming up our hips. Breathing in and sighing out. Walking our hands to the right. Maybe pushing our left hip down into the mat just a little bit. Even if it's in our mind's eye, just pushing our hip down, releasing that hip. And then walking our hands to the left side. And again, releasing that right hip down to the mat. And then walking our hands to the front again, and then walking them up. We're gonna shoot our both feet out to the front, extending both feet out to the front. Breathing in, let's breathe in, our hands overhead. And then hinge at the waist, just as far as you can. Don't hurt yourself. We're still warming up. And if you feel good, you can release your neck. And then walking yourself back up, bringing the right foot inside the left thigh. And we're gonna twist towards our bent knee. And let's bring our left hand down to our left leg and bring our right hand overhead. And maybe your gaze follows. And thinking about sinking that right hip into the mat. Pushing that energy into the mat, into the earth. Breathing in and releasing out. Coming back up, bringing your bent leg over your left leg, and we're going to come into a twist, but just a gentle twist. So you're going to hug your knee to your chest and look over your right shoulder. Breathing in, twist. Breathing out, length. And then let's switch sides. So your left foot comes inside of your right thigh. You're going to twist over to your bent knee, extending your right arm towards your right leg, and then bringing your left arm overhead. Maybe gaze follows your left hand. So you're opening up your chest just a little bit towards the sky. And again, pushing that left hip into the earth. Coming back up, bringing your left leg over your right, coming into a gentle twist. And looking over your left shoulder. Breathing in and releasing out. And then we're going to extend both legs out one more time. Torso is going to be long and strong. And then let's just walk our hands down our legs. And when you feel like you can't go any further, just release your neck. Releasing your breath. Sinking your hips into the earth. Walking your hands back up, and we're going to swing into a tabletop, stacking your joints, So your shoulders are right over your wrists and your hips are right over your knees. And if you can by any chance see your feet, if you're looking through your legs, move them over to the side just a little bit so your ankles are aligned with your knees. And then we're going to breathe in, cow. So you're dipping your belly button towards the earth, chest comes up, gaze comes up. Pushing the tops of your feet into the mat, pushing your hands into the mat. Reverse breathing in, cat. Releasing your lower back, your shoulders, your neck. Breathing in, cow. And breathing in, cat. We're going to walk our hands down into inchworms. So your hips up while your head is released down to the mat. And if this is too much for your shoulders, stack your hands and use your hands as a pillow. And that should release some of the tension from your shoulders. Pushing the tops of your feet into the mat. Making this an active pose. And then sliding your whole body down onto the mat. Forehead comes to the mat. Hands are by your head, and you're going to push the tops of your feet and your pelvis and your hands, your forearms into the mat as you come up into Sphinx pose, releasing your shoulders away from your ears. And then releasing yourself all the way down to the mat. Again, coming up into Sphinx. And then looking over your right shoulder. And then coming back forward. Looking over your left shoulder. And then coming back forward. We're going to release ourselves down to the mat. And let's push ourselves up into tabletop. And then up into your first downward facing dog. Pedaling your knees out, your feet out, bending your knees. Just take a couple of breaths here, a couple of movement with your breath, whatever feels good for you. Maybe coming back to your intention, releasing your neck. Pushing your fingertips into the mat. Pushing your hips towards the back of the mat. Just take a couple of breaths. Intentional all the way up to the sky. Your toes are pointing towards the mat. And then release your leg back down to the mat. Other side. Left leg comes up, toes are pointing towards the mat. And then release back down. One more time on the right side. Your leg is going to come up. This time you're going to bend your knee, opening up your hips. Maybe creating a little movement here. Making circles with your hips. Maybe reversing the circles. And then releasing your foot down to the mat. Bringing your left leg up, bending your knee, opening up your hip, creating movement with your hip, creating circles. And then reverse that movement. Finding stillness, bringing your foot back down to the mat, pushing your fingertips into the mat, pushing your hips towards the back of the mat. And you're going to walk your feet towards your hands into your first forward fold. Feet are hip width apart, releasing your neck, bending your knees slightly, maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Breathing in and releasing out. Breathing in, you're going to bring your hands overhead into a standing position. But instead of arching the back, giving yourself a baby back bend, we're just going to stand straight and tall today. Really feeling the energy from the tips of your fingers, the crown of your head, through your spine, all the way down your legs, to the bottom of your feet. Feeling your joints stack. Feeling the strength in this pose. Breathing in, palms come together, hands come to heart center. Hands come by your side in Tadasana, rolling your shoulders back. Breathing in and releasing out. You're going to breathe in, hands are going to come up overhead. Hands are going to come together. We're going to come into a forward fold. Halfway lift, so your hands can come to your shins. Forward fold. Again, halfway lift. And forward fold. We're going to come to another halfway lift. And then forward fold. We're going to step our right foot to the back and then our left foot to the back, up into a downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths here. Breathing in, hips come back, breathing out, release. Your right knee is going to come to the mat. And you're going to come into a side plank with your knee on the mat. So your left leg is straight. And then your left arm is going to come overhead. And if you'd like, your left arm can come towards your left ear. And your gaze is towards the sky, peeling that shoulder back just a little bit so you're opening up the chest. This is a supported side plank. And then coming back to neutral, coming back up into a downward facing dog. Breathing in, hips go back, breathing out, release. Your left knee is going to come down to the mat. Your right leg is going to extend to the side. Your left hand is on the mat, right arm comes up. And if it feels good, your right arm can come towards your right ear. And again, your shoulders peeling back just a little bit to open up the chest towards the sky. And then both hands come back to the mat. You're in a tabletop position this time. You're going to extend your right leg out. Really feel the energy coming through that heel, that right heel. The left foot, the top of your left foot is pushing into the mat. So this is an active pose. And you're gonna cross your leg over to your left side. And maybe your gaze follows, so it's a little bit of a twist. Bringing your leg back towards the back of your mat, extending it hip width, hip height. And then we're gonna make circles as if you have a crayon on the bottom of your foot and you're drawing circles on the wall behind you. And then reverse your circles. So you should be really activating your core here. And then find your stillness. We're gonna bring your leg to the right side and let your foot touch the floor. And maybe your gaze follows. And then with breath, we're going to bring our foot to the left. Gaze follows, so crossing over to the left. And then crossing back over to the right. So we're gonna just keep on going to the left and then to the right at your own pace, with your own breath, activating your core. And just do a couple more. And then we'll find your leg pointing straight back and then release it back down to the mat. And maybe you'd like to do a couple cat-cows here on your own. Connecting the breath with your movement. And we'll find our stillness. Left leg extends back. The energy is shooting out through your heel here. The top of your right foot is really pushing into the mat. It's creating stability. And then cross your leg over towards the right side, releasing your foot down to the floor, and gaze follows. Using your core, you're going to bring your leg back up towards the back, and then you're going to do the circles with your foot, drawing those circles on the back wall, and then reversing that motion, really activating your core, activating that hip, and then finding your stillness, and then bringing your foot over to the left side, releasing your foot onto the floor. Maybe gaze follows. And then with breath, we're going to bring our foot to the right and then to the left. And your gaze can follow. You can do this on your own. Just a couple more. And then bringing your foot back up to hip height. And then releasing your knee down to the mat. Bringing your toes together, knees apart, sinking down into child's pose. Tenting your fingers in this child's pose. Releasing your upper back. Breathing in and sighing out. Coming back up, you're going to take the back of your hand and bring it to the mat. And just a little bit, bring yourself down towards your feet. Bring your hips down towards your feet, just a little bit, because this can hurt a little bit. We want to be gentle with our wrists. But we did work them a little bit right now, so let's give them a counter stretch. And then release that right hand and do the same thing with your left. Bring your hips towards your feet. And then releasing, we're gonna bring our foot up towards our hand, our right foot up towards our hand, coming up into your first low lunge. Hands are gonna come overhead when you're ready, maybe sinking down into this pose. Releasing your shoulders away from your ears, really feeling the strength from your fingertips all the way down to the earth. And then let's interlace our hands behind our back, maybe pushing our hands away from our body. Chest comes up. And then releasing our hands up to the sky, breathing in. Breathing out, we're gonna frame our foot, and then we're gonna come back into a tabletop, bringing our left foot up, coming into a low lunge on this side. When you're ready, hands come overhead, sinking down into this pose. Interlacing your fingers behind your back, pushing them away from your body. Releasing your hands, bringing them up overhead, breathing in. Breathing out, framing your foot, coming back into your tabletop position, and then coming back into your downward facing dog. Breathing in, hips come back. Breathing out, release. We're gonna bring our right foot just hip height. Toes are pointing towards the mat. And then we're gonna swing our foot through our hands, coming up to your first warrior one. Arms are gonna come overhead, breathing in. You can give yourself a little back bend here. Let's interlace the fingers behind the back, pushing our chest up, maybe pushing our hands away from our body. And if it feels good, hinging into a humble warrior. So your right shoulder is by your right knee, or you're hovering, you could hover. We're gonna frame our foot, and then we're gonna come into my favorite deer pose. So your legs are making the S shape. And then we're gonna twist to our right and then fold down. If you need blocks here, your forearms can be on a block. Breathing in, breathing out. Releasing your tension with each exhale. Coming back up, releasing your hands onto the mat. We're going to swing up into a down dog. Breathe in, hips go back. Side out, release. Coming up on your tippy toes, and then releasing your heels back onto the mat. Your left foot comes all the way up, toes are pointing towards the mat, hip height. And then swing your foot in between your hands, coming up into a warrior one. So your back foot is in a 45-degree. When you're ready, hands can come overhead. Squaring your hips off to the front of the mat. Interlacing your hands behind your back, maybe pushing your hands away from your body. And if it feels good, you can hinge over into a humble warrior. Releasing your hands onto the mat and then coming into your deer pose on this side. So your legs are in an S shape. Maybe if you used a block, you bring it over to the left side, twisting to the left, and then hinging over. Breathing in and releasing out. Walking your hands back up, bringing your hands back to the mat. We're going to swing ourselves up into a down dog. Breathe in, breathe out. We're going to bring our right foot through our hands and we're going to come up into a high lunge. So your back heel is up. Your right foot is forward, left back heel is up. checking in with your back leg. Is it as straight as possible? And maybe our hands come overhead. Squaring our hips off to the front of the mat. Breathing in, releasing out. Maybe you can feel your thighs squeezing together. So making this an active pose, squeezing your thighs together, even if it's in your mind's eye. Activating those muscles. And then framing your foot, keeping your left hand on the mat, right hand comes up in a twist. Maybe gaze follows. Peeling that shoulder open just a little bit so your heart is shining towards the sky. And then switch sides. So we're gonna twist to the other side. So your right hand is gonna come into the inside of your foot, and then you're gonna open up towards the left side. So your left arm is up. Peeling that shoulder back just a little bit. Gaze following your left hand. And then we're going to bring both hands to the mat. We're going to twist open to the wide edge of our mat. Forward fold, so wide-legged forward fold. Maybe you just release your neck here. Maybe closing your eyes. And let's walk our hands out to the front, not to the front, like off of your mat. You're gonna come into a wide-legged downward facing dog. So you walk your hands out away from your mat. Your head is in between your elbows, releasing your neck. Your gaze is in between your legs. Toes are facing forward. Releasing your upper back, the backs of your legs. Breathing in and releasing out. We're going to walk our hands back to our mat, pivoting towards the front of our mat, kicking our right leg back into a downward facing dog. Bringing our knees down to the mat, toes come together, and let's just sink down into a child's pose. Bring your right arm all the way up, and we're going to bring our right arm under our left, releasing first your shoulder, then your head. Opening up your shoulder. And then bringing your right arm all the way up to the sky again, and then releasing down to the mat. Bringing your left arm up, and then under your right, releasing your shoulder down to the mat, then your head. And maybe your right arm or hand goes towards the front of your mat, creating space in your shoulder, your back. And then coming back up, bringing your left arm up, and then back to the mat, coming up into a downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths here. Maybe coming back to your intention. Coming back to your focus. Bringing your left foot up and then swinging it through your hands. Coming up into a high lunge. Your arms can follow. Maybe squeezing those thighs together. And then coming down and framing your foot. Your right hand stays on the mat while your left arm comes up. Maybe peeling that shoulder open. And then twisting to the other side, left hand comes down to the mat, right arm comes up. Left hand is in the inside of your foot. And again, peeling that shoulder open just a bit. And then bringing both hands down to the mat. We're going to pivot to the wide edge of the mat one more time. Maybe releasing. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Breathing in and releasing out. We're going to take our left hand to the mat, to the center of the mat, and then bring your right hand up into another little twist. If you'd like, you can bring your hand to your lower back, opening up your shoulder. And then switch sides, bring your right hand to center. Left arm comes up, gaze follows. And then again, you can bring your left arm to your left hand to your lower back if that feels good. Peeling open the shoulder. Releasing both hands to the mat, pivoting towards the front of the mat, and then swinging yourself into a downward facing dog. Breathing in and releasing out. We're going to come onto our tippy toes, and then like a wave, we're going to come into plank. And then we're just going to lower ourselves all the way down. Maybe rocking your head back and forth. Bringing your hands to the side of your chest, pushing your feet, your pelvis, and your hands into the mat as you come up into Cobra or Baby Cobra or Sphinx, whatever feels good right now for your back. And then lowering down. Breathing in again, we're going to come up into Cobra. And then look over your right side. And then look over your left. And then look forward and come on down. We're gonna roll over on our bellies, not on our bellies, on our backs. Squeezing our knees to our chest and maybe creating a little movement, rocking back and forth, side to side. And then grabbing opposite ankles, crisscrossing at the ankles, and then creating a little bit of movement here, rocking side to side. We're gonna bring our feet to the mat. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. And then make a C with your hands, and we're gonna create a little bit of traction right at your hip crease. Pulling down just a little bit. Creating a little bit of traction, a little bit of space in your lower back. Breathing into this, releasing out. Releasing your hands, bringing your knees back up. We're gonna bring our right leg up to the sky, maybe interlacing your hands behind your knee, maybe flexing and pointing. And then bend your knee towards your chest. We're gonna twist to the right, and either you can straighten your left leg or you can keep it bent. And then we can add a little bit more. If you'd like a little bit more of a stretch, you can grab your left foot. It's hard to figure out left from right when you're twisted like this. Your left foot, giving yourself another little extra stretch here. While focusing on your shoulders, trying to keep your shoulders on the mat. But you can play with this pose. So if holding your foot does not feel good, then you can definitely release that. You can extend that leg. You can even extend your right leg so it's straight towards the right side, the other side. And then release, coming back, bringing your knees to your chest. And then bringing that right foot down to the mat, your left leg extends up to the air. You can interlace your hands behind your knee. Doing a little flex point here. Bending your knee and twisting. Keeping your shoulders onto the mat. And again, you can grab, that's hard, your right leg. And if you'd like, you can extend your left leg out. Or you can just do a regular supine twist, whatever feels good. I'm just giving you options. You have like 4 different options here. Breathing in and releasing out. Continuing to keep your shoulders making contact with the mat. Coming back, knees come to chest, maybe forehead comes to knees. Bringing your feet down to the mat. We're gonna come into a couple bridge poses, giving ourselves a counter stretch here. So the tips of your fingers are close to your feet as possible, the backs of your feet as possible. We're gonna breathe in, bringing our pelvis up. Everything comes up, breathing in, maybe pushing your hands into the mat. Dipping your chin so your spine is elongated. Maybe coming up just a little bit more. And then releasing down. Breathe in and release out. One more time, breathing in, coming up. Maybe this time you interlace your hands under your body. Shoulder blades come together. Squeezing your thighs together. Come up just a little bit more. And release yourself down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Squeezing your knees to your chest. Maybe grabbing the outside of your feet, bringing your knees towards your armpits and coming into a happy baby. You can create a little movement, rocking back and forth. Releasing your lower back into the mat. Bringing both legs up into a waterfall. And then releasing your right leg down to the mat. And then your left. Getting yourself ready for Shavasana, so you can take your time, a couple breaths to do any last movements that you'd like to do to get ready for Shavasana. And we'll meet in corpse pose or a comfortable seated position. Get your sweatshirts and socks, get yourself cozy. Finding your breath. Releasing any last tension that you might be holding at this time. Breathing in and sighing out. Releasing the tension from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. Noticing the peace that you've created in your space. The energy that you've created today. Let that energy cradle you as you allow your body to rest. Shavasana. Bringing awareness back into your body. Maybe wiggling your toes and your fingers. Shaking your head left to right. And when you're ready, you're rolling over to your right side. Breathing in a little bit of compassion and gratitude. When you're ready, pushing yourself up into a seated position, hands at heart center. Coming back to your intention. Coming back to this peace that you've created, this energy that you've created today. And maybe dedicating the merit of your practice today to someone that needs it. Sending it out to them. My gratitude goes out to you today. The light within me honors the light within you as we all say, Namaste.